In Australia, we love our seafood, and I'm no different. But how much do we really know about where our seafood comes from? I'm going on a journey to investigate the truth about Australia's seafood.
I'll be looking at the impact of our addiction to the most popular species. This time, it's sharks.
I walk past these shops that are full of shark fin.
No, this is wrong. This is bullshit.
You try to label them as different sharks here.
We don't label. It's something that we probably should address.
I'll also chase up the pizza chain I found to see if they'll follow through with using better prawns on their pizzas.
What do you like about the texture? What do you like about the flavour? I want to know.
Come along for free fish and chips at Parliament House today.
And my campaign to ensure that we are all better informed gains momentum
I've told you it's fish, and that's all I need to tell you.
when I confront politicians at Parliament House.
We need to find a way that we get the majority support in the Parliament so we can actually make this happen.
So have you ever been to a restaurant that serves mammal?
The problems are shocking and complex.
But we can all be part of the solution. I want to show you how. Fish and chips, 2 types, Thai prawns. When we buy seafood, we need to ask, what's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it.
I've been a chef, a restaurant critic, and now I've spent the last 6 years learning how to produce my own food here on the farm. It's been tough work, but now I know where most of my food is from. But half a mile down the road is the ocean. Uncharted waters for me. Now, I'm on a mission to discover where our seafood comes from. Fish and chips. We Australians love them. And we eat around 100 million serves every year. But very few of us actually ask what's beneath the batter. I've come down to a local chipper here in Tassie to ask just that.
I'm in Hobart and going to get some flake and chips. I'd be interested to know if they actually know what species it is. Hey,
Good,
hey,
how you going?
yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, well, thanks.
I just wanted some flake and chips.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no worries.
In much of Australia, fish and chips is made with flake. And flake is actually shark.
Do you know where the flake's from? Like what sort of species is?
It's a school shark, yeah. So,
School shark?
yeah. So,
So that's Australian?
yep.
From the sign, you wouldn't know what this was. It just said, a flake. It doesn't actually say whether it's Australian or imported, whether it's fresh frozen, whether it's endangered or not endangered. As far as I know, school shark's an endangered species.
Strictly speaking, school shark is classified as conservation dependent on the list of threatened species. Of the 180 species of shark in Australia, 8 are on this list. School shark cannot be targeted, but a limited amount can be kept if it ends up in your net, but you'd never know this when you buy flake.
It's a bit like eating panda, only fishier.
So we do need accurate and obligatory labelling. But until that's enforceable, should we eat shark at all?
The teenager was brought up onto the beach, but it was too
The
late.
species involved was a tiger shark.
A man has been killed by a shark while diving off West.
Most of us think of sharks as terrifying monsters. And it's this fear that hogs the headlines.
The signs of growing shark danger have been ominous.
But sharks only kill, on average, 1 person a year in Australia, and only 6 people worldwide. Yet we kill 100 million of them every year. And the impact of this is devastating. The demand for shark body parts, and in particular fins, is one of the reasons why so many sharks are slaughtered, with some species pushed to the brink of extinction. This footage is rare evidence of a brutal practice known as live finning, where sharks have their fins removed and are thrown back into the ocean alive. Left like this, they can take days to die. While live finning is banned in Australia, we do import and export shark, including shark fins. Accurate figures are hard to come by, but the Australian Marine Conservation Society claim we exported at least 178 tonnes of shark fin to Hong Kong, the Philippines and Singapore in 2012. That number of fins would leave 13,000 tonnes of shark meat. That's literally millions of sharks. With 95% of shark fin consumed here in Asia, I've come to Hong Kong to see the scale of the trade. Shark fins are highly prized here, eaten in soup at special occasions like weddings and banquets. But like flake back in Australia, we don't know what species they are or where they're from. And trying to find out is not easy.
How are you going? No? No, you don't want me to look at it? Okay. No worries. There was an absolutely enormous shark fin, and it's got a picture of a camera with a line through it saying can't take a photograph of it.
Where I'm from?
From Australia.
Australia.
I'm finally allowed into a shop to take a closer look, but I can only bring in my translator.
I was wondering the labels for the shark fin, is it different species or different size?
有好多唔同嗰個價錢，點解會唔同咧？係咪 size 大細？ The price is depends on the size. There's no label.
But he doesn't know what species?
呢啲係邊種詞咧 ？Whale shark.
Whale shark.
Yeah.
Whale
And also
shark.
white shark.
White shark, like great white shark?
Great white, maybe the Chinese translation is white shark.
White shark.
Yeah. Okay.
So whale shark, I'm thinking these are pretty scarce, majestic, huge creatures that people pay thousands of dollars to go and dive with. I don't think there's that many left in the world, are there, whale sharks?
So some fins apparently belong to whale sharks and great whites, both threatened species. So where are they from?
There's some of the shark from Australia, some
from Australia?
Yeah, but some not sure.
Right,
So,
okay. I've got to say, I'm gobsmacked. They were saying that they think they come from white sharks and whale sharks. Now, if we're talking great white sharks, they're protected in Australia, and if they're whale sharks, I know some countries in the world have set up whole marine parks just to protect them as a species.
With no labelling, who knows how accurate the shopkeeper's information really is? But what does become clear is that trade in shark fin here is big business.
Is it possible to have one down and to see how much, and to touch it and see how much it would cost?
Careful. That one is 5,000 for half kilo.
5,000
Hong Kong dollars.
Hong Kong dollars, so 700 Australian dollars for a half kilo.
A single whale shark fin can sell for $10,000. These small bags go for $350 a kilo. This single shark fin will set you back $1,400.
I'll put it back before I drop it. I'm very nervous. It's worth a lot of money.
佢話佢好緊張，佢驚嗰個好味啊，搞
Although shark fin soup is traditionally served on special occasions, there are signs that there is now some understanding of the impact of this culinary custom on shark populations.
The Chinese government's put a ban on using shark fin at official banquets, but when I walk around, I see a sign like buy and sell dried shark fin of all countries. I walk past these shops that are full of shark fin, and I've got to say, there's certainly no lack of supply, maybe no lack of demand. Jesus. I mean, that looks like it's from a whale. I didn't even know that you could have something with a fin that big.
After seeing the scale of the shark products available here, and hearing some of them could be from Australia, I want to find out about our own shark trade and what it means for our shark populations. To do this, I need to see them for myself, up close and personal.
Around the world, humans kill 100 million sharks every year of all different species. In Australia, we just sell shark meat under one label, flake. So I've come to the Great Barrier Reef and I'm going to dive with sharks for the first time in my life in their natural environment, on the reef.
Here on the reef, we'll probably have 14, 15 species of different reef sharks and rays.
Yep.
Now, if we're lucky, very lucky, today we'll see one of them.
I want shark expert Andrew Chin to show me the importance of the shark in the marine environment.
This is the first time I've dived on the Great Barrier Reef. Incredible colour, fish everywhere.
Shark. I think that was a white-tipped shark. He came in, had a look at us, and he swam away again. The sharks have a really important role to play out here in the reef. They're what we call top-level predators, so they occupy the top of the food chain. The sharks really are important in maintaining healthy coral reefs.
Top predators like sharks play a vital role in the food chain. If their numbers decline from overfishing, then their prey increases, eating more of the next level down in the food chain. This, in turn, can lead to such a decrease in herbivorous fish that the algae at the bottom of the food chain can take over. Scientists call this a trophic cascade, and it can leave the ecosystem dangerously out of balance.
I've seen pictures of sharks and stuff of them swimming, but when you actually swim with them and see them underwater, they're all muscle and built for pace. Far more beautiful than I imagined.
It's difficult to think of fish and chips at a time like this. But I can't help wondering if the species I'm seeing today are targeted by fishers for flake.
Congratulations, brilliant. That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But,
really, really nice. So what we saw is we saw two species. Ones with the white tips and the dorsal fin.
Yeah, that was the
surprise,
two at
surprise.
the end.
Yeah. White tip reef shark.
They are called a white tip.
They are the white tip reef sharks.
Right, on a roof.
And then the other ones that we saw had black tips.
Yep.
So they were black tip reef sharks. So they're
Right.
one of the three types of black tip sharks we get out here. So
Oh, there's three different ones called black tip.
yeah, which
So
is a
good.
little bit confusing.
The black-tip reef shark is slow to reproduce and therefore vulnerable to fishing, while the different Australian black-tip shark is not. So here is one of the key problems. Similar-looking shark species have different biologies, and therefore the populations react differently to fishing.
We have a really rich group of sharks and rays up here, and if they're all being
bang together as one product, flake, well, you know, as a consumer, you're not going to know if what you're eating is sustainable or not. I think wherever practical, wherever possible, you get down to the lowest, most detailed description of the seafood that you're eating that you can. I mean, this is my personal views. You should know where the seafood comes from, you should know how it's harvested, and you should know what it is. And with those 3 bits of information, you can make a choice on what to buy and not to buy.
Having seen these magnificent creatures in their own habitat, it's hard to believe that sharks are heavily fished on the Great Barrier Reef. But the reef covers an area of 348,000 square kilometres, with much of it open to shark fishing. With so many different species, I want to see for myself how fishermen catch and identify sharks. To find out, first, we have to catch some.
I think I saw something fairly large up near one of the buoys.
Hello, Matthew.
Andrew, is it? Yeah, nice to meet you. How are you going?
Yeah, very nice to meet you.
I'm going shark fishing off Townsville with a commercial shark fisherman, Andrew Tobin.
A little bit choppy this afternoon, but that's always good for a shark or two.
Oh, really? They like the chop?
They like dirty water.
Andrew wants to show me some sharks can be fished sustainably and are okay to eat.
A kilometre or 2 off the intertidal mark is the most productive, but some of these smaller bodied sharks that we want to try and catch today.
But I want to know how this information gets lost between the fishermen and us consumers. We are only about 1 kilometre offshore when we throw a 100-metre gill net over the side and wait. After about an hour, there's something in the net.
I think I saw something fairly large up near one of the buoys, splashing around.
That's what we like. Hey, that looks like a little sharp-nosed shark. So they get a lot bigger than this, quite a small species. Oh, there we go. Ah, so that's a creek whaler.
Creek whaler?
It's another classic small coastal species, a couple of years old.
Much smaller than I was imagining.
They're the size of the animal, comes out of tropical Australia.
Both these species mature quickly and produce plenty of pups, so can be fished sustainably.
So just, you can see the net mark there, just in that area.
Andrew invites me to dispatch the shark with 1 cut through its spinal cord,
That's done.
which kills it instantly.
Nice, quick, humane dispatch. Yep.
It's a really weird sensation diving with sharks one day and then catching them the next. And I think that's the whole thing about fish and fisheries and eating seafood. It really comes down to, I guess, the same as I have these conflicts with meat. I raise animals and kill them to eat. I think the dive, what it's done is give me a respect for the living animal and to understand that some sharks can be harvested sustainably.
Out here catching sharks reinforces to me the importance of identifying and labelling them correctly.
We've got this viable resource that we can feed to the community, yet if there's misinformation out there that stops the community buying that product, then that needs to be fixed.
My campaign for compulsory labelling will fix this, so we consumers will know we are eating the right seafood.
Now on this species, fins are quite small.
Yep.
But there's no real monetary incentive in it either.
In Australia, sharks are caught for their meat, not their fins.
That'll be iced. We'll sell that to one of the local buyers first thing tomorrow morning.
These sharks are destined to be eaten as fish and chips tomorrow. And I want to follow them to see where they go and exactly how this happens.
And that's all the fins you get from 2 sharks. So hardly anything.
This fishing ground is known as the East Coast Inshore Fin Fishery, spanning 5,300 kilometres along the coast of Queensland, including the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. Commercial fishermen here have a total shark quota of 600 tonnes, around 20,000 sharks. While much of that is sent south and some is exported. Andrew sells his sharks to the local fish shop here in Townsville.
The 2 sharks we caught yesterday, Andrew brought here to be processed, and I want to find out what happens next.
And, crucially, how they're labelled.
So this is Andrew's catch here.
Oh, right. When he dropped them off, did he tell you what they were?
He didn't, but I believe one looks like it's a shovel-nosed shark, and one looks like it's an estuary or a black-tipped reef shark. Well, look at it. So,
Right.
So Mark, the fish shop owner, gets 1 out of 2 right. But the chain of information has broken down already.
When they come in, they're not. No one's tagged them. No one's told you what. If they haven't
the
told
fishermen
you.
do all their recording of the sharks. For us, it just comes in trunk, blokes weight in the back, and they get sold as flake.
And in your shop here, you actually see the fish, the trunks, I guess, so you can attempt to recognise them.
Yep.
Do you try to label them as different sharks here?
We don't. It's something that we're looking at, but that we do just market it as flake. We don't label, and you know, it's something that we probably should address.
So this is it. Both species of shark we caught yesterday lumped into one tray to be sold as flake. We consumers have no chance of knowing what species we are eating. So there is a problem with labelling. When sold raw, fish has to be labelled, but as we've just seen, it's not always accurate. It gets worse when served cooked. In restaurants and takeaways, there's no obligation to label at all.
The flake here, that's local, did you say?
Yep.
And gummy shark. All right, cool.
And even if we are told what it is, how do we know it's true?
You know what sort of shark?
Carpet shark.
Carpet shark.
I've found someone who is investigating just that. Adam Walters is the head of research and investigation at Greenpeace. He and his team of volunteers are collecting samples of flake from a variety of seafood restaurants in and around Melbourne, the flake-eating capital of Australia.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
Good, good.
Great. What kind of fish have you got here?
Greenpeace is collecting samples of flake from seafood restaurants across Australia. We're going to send those off to the lab for DNA analysis. The reason is that the term flake is generic. When customers buy flake from a seafood restaurant, they don't actually know what species of shark that they're purchasing.
So we don't always know what species flake is. And when we are told it's gummy shark, is it really that?
Is that shark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gummy shark, that flake.
The flake samples will be sent to the lab and we'll discover if we are unwittingly eating threatened species.
Somebody is selling one species as another species.
So it sounds like fish fraud.
Yeah.
I'm determined to encourage consumers to ask, what's the catch when we buy seafood? If we're better informed, we can all be part of safeguarding the future of our oceans. Last time, we discovered many of our cheap prawns are from Southeast Asia, but they come with a hidden cost. Bottom trawling the seabed for so-called trash fish, which is processed into prawn feed, is having a devastating effect on the marine environment. I've contacted a boutique pizza chain in Sydney in the hope that they'll try using more sustainable prawns. I need to catch up with them to see if this will actually happen.
Hey, Dan.
G'day, Matthew.
How you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
How have you gone with the pizza?
Oh, look, it's been interesting. Yeah.
Did you find any prawns?
We have, yeah.
That's good news.
I'll show you what we've got here.
Dan has sourced some Australian prawns, which are certified as sustainable by the Marine Stewardship Council.
All I've done is put them in an olive oil, garlic oil dressing.
Cheers, thank you.
And he's convinced they taste better.
It's a good prawn.
That's a very good prawn, that one, isn't it? Wow. So how do they compare for price to flavour?
But do we have to pay more for this sustainable prawn pizza?
Coming out and, so the question is whether we just put 50 cents to $1. I wouldn't imagine it being more than that.
So on a big pizza like that, $1, 50 cents to $1 more?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, per ones.
So essentially we're trying 3 different species as well here.
Wow, it's only $1 more per pizza. But Dan still needs to make sure his customers like it enough to pay the extra $1. Tonight, he's doing a taste test to find out.
This is the wild Australian prawn caught sustainably in the seas, and this is the imported one that we're currently using from our freezer today. The proof will be in the eating.
They'll only do it if their customers like the new prawn. Tonight, we'll find out if they do.
This is prawn A on your left. Prawn B is on your right. Have a taste of one of each. Take your time, savour it. What do you like about the texture? What do you like about the flavour? I want to know.
I think prawn A was a good one.
Prawn A was much nicer.
Prawn A. Prawn A.
The A is fantastic.
It tasted like lobster.
As the prawn fans hook into some sample pizzas, the results of the taste test are revealed.
Just counted off. I'm really shocked, but it's great news. It confirms where we want to head. Okay, guys. Just a quick update on the challenge number 1, which was the blind taste test on the prawn. It's a resounding win for Australian wild sustainable prawn. 24, prawn A. I've only got 3 who like the imported one.
An emphatic result. Now, customers of one pizza chain in Sydney will be eating the right prawns, correctly labelled. But how often are we misled by the labelling on our seafood?
G'day, just wondering about your flake here.
Adam Walters of Greenpeace and his undercover team have collected samples of flake from all over Melbourne.
Is flake shark?
Gummy shark.
And sent them for DNA testing to see what species of shark they are.
And gummy shark. Oh, cool.
And now the lab has the results.
G'day. How are you? Nice to meet you. How are you going? Thanks for this. I'm very excited to find out what's going on. So tell me, what's the result?
Come and have a look. So this is where we do our DNA sequencing. We're looking for a 100% match. We can tell the difference between whether it's a gummy shark versus a school shark or versus, let's say a hammerhead shark or something like that. Then that's a really...
There are clear distinctions.
Very clear.
Right. So what did you actually find?
So far, from our initial 20 samples that we've processed, 8 of them are school sharks. Right. And then there were 3 others that we haven't been able to identify to species.
Right.
None of the samples were actually labelled as school shark in the fish shops. Most were just labelled as flake. But of the 9 samples that were more specifically labelled as gummy shark, which is sustainable, 5 were in fact school shark, a different species much more vulnerable to fishing.
We know in Australia the school shark, it's in a terrible way. There's less than 20% of the original unfished stock of school sharks left. And for that reason, fishermen aren't allowed to even target this species directly. School shark is caught mainly as bycatch when they're trying to get gummy.
Right. Catching it as bycatch and then passing it off as gummy by the sound of it, or someone is.
It seems like somebody is.
So it sounds like fish fraud.
It sounds that way, yeah.
Deliberate fish fraud or not, these results show us the labelling issue is even more important. If the shark was labelled accurately by law, then consumers could make a conscious choice to eat only sustainable species. So which sharks can we eat? In Melbourne, where people have been eating flake and chips for generations,
it's almost exclusively consumed down here on Friday nights. We've all
I
had
find
Friday
someone who
night.
thinks he has the answer.
The thing about gummy shark is that it's the one stock in Australia that is close to what they call the biomass of 1948.
Right.
So the 1,700 tonnes can be taken out of the water every year.
Right, so you can catch a lot and it's been done sustainably.
Absolutely, because we all know what it tastes like.
Anthony heads an alliance of fishers who target gummy shark in the southern shark fishery. It's a huge area of water, spanning 750,000 square kilometres off the southeast of Australia. Anthony has campaigned for gummy shark to be the only shark allowed to use the name flake. This was finally accepted by the Australian Fish Names Committee in mid-2014, but it's still only voluntary.
You know that imports come in, they come in from all over the world in fact, and they use the word flake on the side of the box without actually telling you the real common name of the fish.
Yeah, we have no idea which
we think it's this. We think it's that stuff going into the boxes over there.
Yeah. So you're trying to claw back the use of the term flake. At a retail level, that'll work, but the way the law works at the moment, nobody in any fish and chip shop or pub or cafe or restaurant has to tell you what it is or where it's from.
That's right.
As a keen businessman, Anthony exports the fins of his gummy sharks to China, so as not to waste any part of the animal. But after what I saw in Hong Kong, this makes me uncomfortable.
Do you think it's controversial at all to be I guess, feeding into that shark fin industry?
No, I don't think it's well, hang on, I'll rephrase it. Yes, it is controversial to be feeding into it because there's a lack of understanding that our fins are coming from a sustainably caught product.
Do these get identified as coming from a gummy shark or coming from an Australian fishery when they get to China, do you know?
No, they don't.
So these are just getting mixed in with everything else that could have come from any kind of shark from anywhere?
Exactly.
It's the same old problem. No labelling. I'm going to make a big call. Until the labelling of flake is accurate and enforced, I reckon we should avoid eating it altogether.
But I don't want to limit our options at the fish shop. In fact, I want to do the opposite. Luckily, others think the same.
What I know is that there's better fish and better choices to make, and I guess Swamp Dog is born out of that kind of nice red fish.
After running a top-end restaurant in Brisbane, Chef Richard Webb has pioneered a fish and chip shop where all the fish is sustainable. And there's not a trace of flake to be found.
How do you stay popular? Because I've been told by other fish and chip shop owners that flake, take your flake off your menu, commercial suicide.
Oh, people, no, not at all. And the joy of this place actually is you come in, you talk to me, the big hairy dude behind the counter, I'm going to sell you a fish you've never heard of, and you're going to like it. In actual fact, there aren't many fish that don't taste good,
So
that's pretty much it.
So what would you be telling customers to eat tonight? If they came in saying, I only know flake, I usually eat flake.
Yeah, if you usually eat flake, I'd probably push you on to mackerel. Tonight we have cobia, another really good fish.
Right.
You can have giant threadfin. We've got wahoo tonight, another excellent fish. What I would like you to take away from here is actually there's a squillion fish around to eat that are good. And it doesn't need to be the 5 or 6 that we eat.
I agree with Richard. We need to break our addiction to the same fish we see on every menu and experiment with other species that are just as delicious and, crucially, more sustainable. But what are these species? And where do they come from? On my journey exploring Australia's seafood, I found out that we are addicted to a few key species like prawns, shark, salmon and tuna, despite there being other more sustainable options. But what are these other fish and where are they from? Richard Webb has invited me down to Moreton Bay near Brisbane to introduce me to someone who can show me what many of us are missing out on.
Morning. Morning, John. John, it's Matthew.
How are you, mate?
You going to come out and help us catch a fish?
Yeah, more than one, hopefully, but...
John Page used to fish these waters with his father and now does so with his mate Dave. They still use the tunnel net fishing technique they've been doing for generations. John and Dave take pride in not only what they catch, but also what they don't.
We don't want to kill a toadfish, a stingray, a shovel nose or anything. And it's not because we're good guys, it's because if everything we handle, we're not getting like that, we don't get paid for. So it's energy for no reason. So over years we've developed best practice, a code of best practice, which allows us to fish in a manner that we haven't got any bycatch, and we're darn proud of it. And I must admit, in the old days, we weren't proud of what we did.
So how would they have done it in the past?
In the past, to be totally honest with you, they'd scoop everything in, let them die, and pick out the big ones and throw everything back over the side.
Just dead?
Dead. You know?
Right. So even though you knew what you were doing, part of your brain said what you were doing was wrong, but
Yes, no doubt. You know, I used to say to my dad in the old days, you know, this is wrong, this is bullshit. But there was that much fish, you know what I mean? And there was that little population, and that was just the way it was done.
Tunnel net fishing works by fishermen setting their nets at high tide and waiting patiently as the water goes out. The fish that are feeding in the mangroves are slowly funnelled towards the tunnel at the end of the net.
So this fishing seems really low tech. It's a way they've done it for over 100 years in its essence, but what they've done is refine it, and now they're trying to cut the bycatch. I guess a lot of people think of wild fisheries as, you know, massive boats, you know, ruining the oceans. This is right near one of Australia's biggest cities. The tragedy is most of the fish that these guys produce, the people in the big city up the road here aren't interested in.
Once the fish are herded into the cod end of the net, they can be scooped onto the sorting deck. I'm keen to see what we've caught.
Right, what do we got there?
You got what we call John Dory, but they're actually striped butterbrim.
That's striped butterbrim?
Yeah, and these are ladrick.
Ladrick?
Yeah, ladrick you'd call them, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
We market them as blackbrim.
Blackbrim.
Yep.
Any unwanted fish are swept back into the water alive, so nothing is wasted. Today, we sweep all the fish back, as it's a Saturday, and no commercial fishing is allowed at all.
You got that? Can you get a scoop?
There you go, look at that.
All gone.
Not one, no bycatch, zero.
Zero bycatch, nothing died.
Nope. Oh.
Fishing this way makes John and Dave inadvertent conservationists. By respecting the environment, they're preserving both the fish stocks and their own future.
I think some people get the idea that these fishes are the pirates of the sea, and the reality is, in a lot of fisheries, there's this extremely strict management where the fishermen are actually working with the people who manage it.
You know, we take pride in what we do. I know we're perceived, as you say, as pirates and rapers and pillagers and all the rest of it, but we're doing a job, you know, we're doing a job. We're trying to supply the best possible product in an environmentally and resource sustainably way. You know, that's our aim, and we're pretty proud of what we do.
Because it's often lesser known species, John's fish is mostly sold in a local fish shop. And he's keen to show me where and how.
Good afternoon, this is Matthew.
Nice to meet you. How you going?
John's fishing co-op is called Moreton Bay Fresh. And what's really exciting is their modern labelling system.
We've got a QR code there.
There we are somewhere.
They use smartphone technology to tell the customers what the fish is,
There you go, your garfish.
the story of where and how it was
Flavour
caught,
with the tunnel netting, which we saw
That's
this
it,
morning.
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
and how best to cook it.
And there's a recipe for wrapping a crispy coating.
Yep.
This is brilliant.
Wow, low-tech fishing meets high-tech labelling. Love it. But why doesn't this information, high-tech or not, get to chefs, restaurants and to us, the consumers?
Good morning.
Hey Matthew, how you doing?
Going? You got my Australian uniform for me?
Yeah.
Richard Webb is addressing this by regularly inviting chefs and chippy owners to the local fish markets so they can actually see what alternative fresh fish is available beyond the same old species.
These are some of my chefs. This is Simon.
Matthew, how you going?
Yeah, Brett. That's a new guy.
This week he has brought 3 chefs. 2 have been here with him before.
All right, so what you've got here, a lot of it is...
One, Brett, is a fish market virgin. Fresh meat for Richard.
Essentially what you do is you wander through.
Brett is the chef at a local pub.
Fish that gets a really high dollar.
What sort of stuff you got on your menu at the moment?
We've got just a crumb flake for our fish and chips. So that's why we're here now, to try and figure out what we can use as a good substitute and still keep the price, around the same for our customers.
Fish buyers.
That's the option.
$10 for the ungraded bananas, got 10.
Brett needs to find something here at the right price that he can put on his menu instead of the flake.
This is a threadfin salmon. These are cool fish and really nice flesh. This is one of our best fish, I reckon. Mackerel. So this is a spotty, really white flesh, flaky, good flake substitute.
$8 for the mackerel.
Brett knows what he wants, and Richard uses his auction expertise to buy when the price is right.
What have you bought?
We bought some mackerel, some spotty mackerel.
Spotty mackerel, great.
Yeah.
You can knock that onto the specials board and say, spotty mackerel and chips in place of the flake and chips, and see if anyone goes for it?
We could, yeah. We could definitely do that.
It's been a while since I've actually filleted a mackerel. So that would be our portion there.
Right, those 3 bits, yeah.
Yep, and just crumb them up.
Crumb
some
fries,
chips.
some chips,
Yep.
salad. And how
Yep.
much would that going to cost the punter?
That's $15.
$15.
Yep.
I'd take this fresh mackerel over the imported frozen flake any day. But I want to see if the most important people, the customers here, agree with me.
This is beautiful. The texture in it is lovely. I like all fish and chips, frankly, but this tastes fresher.
So the fact that he's gone out and got this from the markets
I think it's fabulous.
first thing this morning and put it on his menu here today, it's a great idea.
It's fabulous, and he's cooked it really well too.
Yeah.
Is it yum yum?
That's the way to do it. Good news.
Good news.
I've been chatting to your first 4 customers who ordered the fish and stoked, absolutely stoked. Good work.
Thanks
Just keep
a lot,
it on the
guys.
menu for me.
I will.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks a lot.
And that's what I call a result. You've got a whole bunch of happy people. You've got fresh fish, not frozen, local, not imported. It's the same price for the punters and possibly cheaper for the chef. Hopefully it's the end of flake on this menu.
So that's a pub and a pizza chain, making the change to use more sustainable seafood.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
But if we are to have a real, lasting impact on ensuring the future of our seafood, we need to think about tackling this on a far, far bigger scale. And I have an idea about how to do that.
Come along for free fish and chips at Parliament House today. Noon till 2 at the red food van outside Parliament House. Free fish and chips, 2 types,
I'm taking a fish and chip van to Parliament House to ram home a problem to some of our most powerful politicians.
Come along and see us. I'll get a few pollies down. We're going to talk about sustainable seafood. Put your hand up if you're coming along. Hand up. Yay, we got one.
666 ABC Canberra, I'm Tatiana Clancy here with you. Now, Matthew Evans is a former city restaurant reviewer turned Tasmanian gourmet farmer. He's now turning his attention to the oceans.
So I've got a food truck heading down to Parliament House to cook up fish and chips for all comers, really. It's a free feed, but hoping to get some of the people in the big house to come out and talk to us about seafood.
The problem I want to show the pollies is when we buy fish and chips, we don't actually know what's under the batter. And there's no law to say we need to be told. Richard Webb has come along to help me serve two types of fish. Flake in a blue napkin and a sustainable alternative, latchet, in a green one.
They get offered blue, they get offered all green. That's it. They don't know anything else about it.
Fish and chips, lucky dip.
Lucky dip fish and chips.
Like it is.
Yeah.
And we're not telling anyone which is which.
What do you got, green at the moment?
You've got a green fish, and a blue.
And a blue.
You have a choice.
Fantastic, thanks. Oh, yay, fish and chips.
I'm hoping that when people are offered two different types of fish and chips, without being told the difference.
Okay, so I've got a choice. Would you like a blue or green? I'll get you a green if you want.
No, blue's my
You happy with
colour.
blue? No worries.
They'll see for themselves the problem with the current labelling laws.
Okay, so I've got a...
So what kind of fish is it?
this one's fish and chips, and this one's fish and chips.
Or lack of them. Before the pollies arrive, some others I know who care about fish labelling also show up.
How you going, David? Patrick, nice to see you again. Thanks for coming along.
Great to see you, mate.
I've got a really good option today. I've got fish and chips, and I've got fish and chips. And because, as you know, the great rules we've got around seafood in Australia, now I've cooked it, I don't have to tell you what it is or where it's from.
This could be one of thousands of species. This could be one of the commonest fish in the sea, or it could be something critically endangered. That's the truth, right? And you don't have to tell me.
No.
We're very keen for a thing called uniform fish names, so that a name means what it means. So when you actually say flake, people know flake exactly equals that species. It can't be 400 species of shark in Australian waters.
With David and Patrick, I admit I'm preaching to the converted. But when two key members of the coalition government arrive, I realise what we're up against.
Nice to see you again. Sorry, I can't shake hands. If I was to give you, a lamb burger or a chicken burger, I'd have to tell you it was lamb or chicken. And if I was to sell you that fish fresh at a supermarket or a fishmonger, I'd have to tell you what it was. I couldn't just say it's fish, and I'd have to tell you where it came from.
That's correct.
But as soon as I serve it as a ready-to-eat product, it's just fish.
That's the same for any product that you buy in any restaurant, isn't it? I mean, you could buy a piece of beef.
So have you ever been to a restaurant that serves mammal? Because
no, but you buy steak.
But
and
beef is
you buy
as different.
fish.
Yeah, but beef is as different from a goat as that fish is from that fish. These two fish.
This conversation is vital, as Richard Colbeck is in charge of fisheries in a government often reluctant to impose extra regulation.
There's no requirement to label a bean, a pea, a carrot or anything. If we start with one product, why shouldn't we have it with every product? And that places, I think, a significant burden on the catering system in this country. You ought to be sitting down with the restaurant and catering industry, having a conversation with them, and then bring everybody together to government with a solution. I'm sure the government would be prepared to look at that. It's a stake in this legitimately.
A concession of sorts. He will look at the issue if we bring all stakeholders to the table. Exactly what I'm trying to do.
All the best, mate. Thank you. Thanks for coming down.
I had the latchet, didn't I?
I can't tell you.
You should tell me.
But I don't have to.
Now let's see what the Shadow Minister of Agriculture thinks of my plan.
How are you going? Thanks a lot for coming. Oh, don't grab it yet. I've got to give you a choice. You going to have one too?
Information is power. That's a good thing.
Yep.
But you've got to be careful about going across the boundary where the regulatory burden becomes so great, you're undermining the profitability of the industry. So there's a balance there somewhere. You've made some really good points. I'm not sure where that balance is, but I'll give it some thought. You're a great lobbyist.
No worries.
A typical politician's response.
Okay, this one's fish and chips. and this one's fish and chips.
I hope the leader of the Greens shows more commitment to the cause.
About what's under this batter.
So you haven't chosen. You're not game to choose.
Well, I'm not game to choose.
You're the first person who hasn't chosen one on the basis of not knowing. That's really interesting.
Yeah, well, I don't want to choose it without knowing, and that's how I feel when I go into a restaurant as well.
So you're on board if we can get this
absolutely on
started
board.
in Parliament House?
Be delighted to be helping it, but really it's people power. It's always been people power that win these campaigns, and it will be on this one.
So there is political interest amongst the major parties. But this issue is in the interests of everyone.
Thanks, mate.
So I'm keen to get the independent MPs championing the cause.
This one.
Olive fish and chips.
Okay, green serviette or blue?
Green.
Green, no worries.
Wait on. I don't know about being green.
Yeah. So would you like to see country of origin labelling at the, we're talking restaurants, cafes, because it already happens at the retail level, but yep. We're hoping to have a committee hearing to talk about this very issue. You're going to be behind us when we get to that stage?
Matthew, we will take our stock whip down and our cattle prod if necessary.
So this one's got blue serviette and that one's got a green serviette. Which one do you prefer?
Which one's local?
Independent MP Nick Xenophon has promised to help me get this bill through Parliament.
No, which one's...
Somehow.
What's the difference? Is that the sustainable one? We need to find a way that we get the majority support in the Parliament so we can actually make this happen. Otherwise, bang our head, your hat's going to get bruised from banging it against a brick wall all the time. Hang on,
Matthew, I seriously believe that 90% of Australians would agree with Nick.
Even if we can get the majority of Australians behind us, there is still a huge task to get this through Parliament.
As frustrating as this place can be, I'm an optimist.
So you're convinced we'll be able to prove this
I'm
is a valid
convinced that we can start a journey that won't stop.
Yeah. That was totally brilliant. I had all those politicians, they all seemed to be on board in one level or another. And even better, Nick Xenophon's invited me into his office this very afternoon to actually start nutting out a campaign to get this through Parliament.
My campaign to change the law on seafood labelling is well underway.
Whether you like it or not, you're going to be part of that parliamentary inquiry.
But my next mission is to find some practical solutions to what we should eat as wild fish stocks reach their limit. Next time, I'm going to investigate fish farming. Should we be doing it? And if so, how?
How much feed do you have to give them?
10 to 1.
So 10 times as many sardines and pellets and pilchards for a kilo of tuna.
And I'm going to show how we can all make a difference.
I don't like sardines.
She does now.
As we keep asking,
what's the catch? In Australia, we love our seafood, and I'm no different. But how much do we really know about where our seafood comes from? I'm going on a journey to investigate the truth about Australia's seafood.
I'll be looking at the impact of our addiction to 4 key species. Prawns.
A whole ecosystem in the tubs around me, and all in the name of prawn farming.
Sharks.
That makes you feel desolate.
Salmon.
Just a few of the 12,000 fish that are going to die today on this boat.
Tuna.
This is the slaughterhouse of the sea.
Save the environment, you gotta save the environment. It sounds good.
So you don't believe the science?
No, it's nonsense.
I'll challenge a pizza chain about the prawns they use.
Tracy, I think I've been leaving messages for you. You never return my calls.
I'll try to entice the top restaurants to prove they care about our oceans.
You pride yourselves on having sustainable seafood on the menu?
It's a hard one, isn't it?
And I'm starting a campaign to ensure we are all better informed.
I don't have to tell you what that fish is.
No.
Legally.
Right.
But we need to find a way that we get the majority support in the Parliament so we can actually make this happen.
The problems are complex and shocking, but we can all be part of the solution. I want to show you how. Fish and chips, 2 types, Thai prawns. When we buy seafood, we need to ask, what's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it.
I've been a chef, a restaurant critic, and now I've spent the last 6 years learning how to produce my own food here on the farm. It's been tough work, but now I know where most of my food is from. But just down the road is the ocean. Uncharted waters for me. Now I'm on a mission to find out where our seafood comes from.
I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
The prawn, an Australian icon. We simply love them. And we Australians guzzle over 50,000 tonnes of prawns a year, making them, after salmon, our most popular seafood. But what are the consequences of our addiction to prawns? Firstly, I need to find out where they come from. Where better to start finding out than the local pub here in Tassie?
Just after a feed of prawns. You got prawns?
We have got prawns there, sir, in the seafood section there.
Oh, yeah. Creamy garlic or crumbed. I might go the crumbed prawns, thanks.
Yes.
Do you know where the prawns are from?
Yeah, they're from Thailand, sir.
From Thailand. Look at this, the classic Aussie prawn in the classic Aussie pub. But this prawn's come all the way from Thailand. It's like finding out that, like Skippy's French or something.
What about the big supermarkets? Where are their prawns from?
Big large box of cooked prawns. This one's a product of Thailand.
Many of the packaged prawns are from Asia.
They're even in these Woolies Select prawn cutlets. See there? Product of Thailand.
What about the big pizza chains like Domino's and Pizza Hut? What prawns are they serving on their pizzas? The store staff couldn't tell me, so I'm calling the head office to find out where they source their prawns.
PR person from Domino's Pizza.
Hi, it's Tracy from
Voicemail.
Pizza. Sorry, I missed your call.
Yeah, g'day Tracy, it's Matthew Evans calling.
The switchboard is temporarily unattended.
Thank you for calling Retail Food Group Limited. The office is open Monday.
I don't seem to be able to get to any people. Just a message for Jacinta. It's Matthew Evans calling.
Hi, this is Chris Selson for marketing. Please.
It's Matthew Evans. Give me a call back. You can call me back. Yeah, can you just let her know that Matthew Evans called? Well, that's not going well. I've rung Domino's, Pizza Hut, Crust, Sumo Salad and Sizzler. Haven't spoken to a single soul who can help me. I've been leaving messages for weeks. I'm starting to wonder if they even want to engage with this as a topic. Who's next?
Domino's have over 700 stores across Australia, and over 2 million of us eat their pizzas every month. So I think it's fair enough to ask where they get their prawns. After 2 months of chasing, I eventually get an email back saying they source their prawns from Thailand. So that's my local pub, the 2 biggest supermarkets, and the biggest pizza chain, all using prawns from Thailand. If I want to know more about the prawns we eat, it's clear where I need to go. Remarkably, over 70% of all the seafood we eat in Australia comes from overseas. It's produced out of sight and out of mind.
If 70% of our seafood comes from overseas, a lot of it would come from here in Thailand, especially shrimp. And most of us would have no clue how they're produced, and that's a real problem.
At first sight, Thailand's prawn farming industry is a success story. Hundreds of prawn farms like these export more prawns than any other country in the world. The pressure to provide the world with prawns means they are farmed intensively. Blue sunscreen is heaped into the ponds to stop the prawns from overheating. And there's a history here of heavy antibiotic use to combat the spread of disease. They harvest prawns about dusk, so I've just heard about a farm up the road that we're hoping that's going to be harvesting tonight, so I'm going to give it a crack. The Banijay prawns, or white shrimp as they're known, grow to full size in 3 months, which means Thai prawn farmers can harvest several times a year. By contrast, farmed Australian tiger prawns can only be harvested once a year. This is intensive industrial farming, but done by hand. I'm going to see for myself what that feels like. This whole pond is full of prawns, 600,000, 700,000 prawns. This here is a sluice, I guess, of the drain. The water's just going to rush underneath the road here. And it'll all end up flushing down into that net there. Then it's just our job to get them out of the net and into these tubs. They're actually quite worried about me getting all the little spikes from the prawns in my legs. So they're just wrapping feed bags around my legs to protect them. A little bit nervous. Make me look like a bit of a turkey. I'm going to need an ointment when I finish today. The smell putrid. Oh my God. One poor guy draws the short straw and dives down to open this sluice at the end of the pond. Over 500,000 frenzied prawns are funneled into the nets. I'm going to have a go at the hard labour of prawn harvesting. As the prawns rush in, we catch them in the nets. The bags probably only weigh 15 plus kilos, but you're trying to lift them over shoulder height, which is really hard work. Thailand exports hundreds of thousands of tonnes of prawns each year, providing jobs for thousands of people across the country. No one else is groaning. Oh, ow, ow. Yep, there's a reason why they're wearing gloves. You don't actually see any prawns. You just sort of feel them. Ow, ow. Jesus. I think I'll stick to pig farming. These people are all here from the buyer's company. They're actually sorting them on the ground here rather than sorting them once they get to the factory. So once they get there, they can be processed, peeled or whatever they're doing with them straight away. Oh, number one, number two? So the bigger ones are better. Even I can see the difference between those. Could they go to Australia, these prawns?
Australia, UK,
right.
Yeah, and also in America, USA.
Right.
Yeah.
With a revenue of $3 billion a year, the industry here is a hungry beast. So are the millions of prawns that are fed 5 times a day, every day. This is the murky heart of the problem. Voracious eaters, prawns are fattened up on feed high in protein. So where does the protein come from? It's almost impossible to find out, but some of it comes from the indiscriminate dredging of the ocean floor for anything and everything. They call it trash fish, a terrible name for a devastating practice that I'm about to witness firsthand. I'm in the Andaman Sea, which is off the west coast of Thailand.
Behind these islands that you see there, there's about a dozen fishing boats. They're all trawlers. They've been out for 4, 5, 6 days at a time, and they gather as many fish as they can before taking them back to port. I'm hoping to get aboard one of those boats and see what's actually in the net.
It's illegal to trawl within 3 kilometres of the shore in Thailand. So I'm surprised when we come across a fishing boat, only about 500 metres out. Let's see if we can get on board.
I'm on. It's a much smaller boat than I was expecting. Well, I've got a net out the back at the moment, so hopefully we'll get to see that brought up.
Many fishing boats here are unregistered with no licence to fish, but that doesn't stop them trawling the ocean floor for anything they can find. From what I can tell, this is a bottom trawler. The net has 2 big weights on either side, keeping it down on the seabed as they sweep up and down the coast repeatedly. We've arrived just in time to see them bringing up their catch. It's jellyfish season, and at first glance, it seems that's all there is.
They're getting stung?
These people are used to it.
Right.
They'll be exported as food to China, Japan, and South Korea.
So, Jesus.
Once the jellyfish are removed, the rest of the catch is revealed.
The sea urchins, broken starfish.
It's a heartbreaking sight.
Whoa, look at that just came up behind me. Oh my God. I said that the end of the net's just been tipped behind my legs. And it's, geez, it doesn't flash. Fish. Sea slugs. Bits of shell. Would this be normal, you reckon?
Yeah, this is quite normal. So I guess not even 30% of these fish can be actually sold to people.
Not even 30%.
With only a few fish big enough to be sold in the market, the rest is called trash fish, an indiscriminate collection of marine creatures trawled from the ocean floor.
This is trash fish. Horrible name, trash fish. A whole ecosystem sitting in the tubs around me. Pretty much everything off the bottom of the ocean floor.
So this is definitely bottom trawling.
Definitely bottom trawling. There's a crab. I'm definitely getting pretty much anything of any size, whatever animal protein from the ocean they can get. Some of these fish are juveniles. They could grow into decent sized adult fish and be sold for a proper amount of money rather than just being sold as trash fish. But the reality is, today's catch, and most of these little bits and pieces are just going to be crunched up, cooked up and turned into fish flour for prawn farming.
The ocean is being destroyed here by the relentless fishing of so many species, including juvenile fish not yet old enough to reproduce. The fishery here is close to total collapse.
This is Australia exporting environmental degradation, exporting the problem of fisheries management to another nation who has some rules in place but no resources to police it.
We are all playing a part in this destruction when we eat this type of prawn.
I saw about 6 trawlers well within 3 kilometres of the shore, but in reality what they're doing is clear felling the ocean floor. The area that these things need to breed is being destroyed. The juveniles are being killed. And all in the name of fish flour to feed to farmed fish and prawns. I actually want to find out now how they get turned into fish meal. And apparently there's factories dotted all around Thailand and one not far from here.
I don't have to wait long to see the next stage in this disturbing practice.
Jesus, it's unbelievable.
After seeing for myself here in Thailand how the ocean floor is continuously trawled for anything and everything, we discover a boat unloading a huge hold full of rotting marine creatures, known as trash fish. It's this trash fish that is used in the feed for farmed prawns.
This is unbelievable. The hold of this boat could have 30 tonnes of trash fish. It doesn't even look like it's properly sorted. There's crabs and all sorts of stuff in there, squid. They're stamping on it to mash it down into the basket.
We found out that they had just come back from trawling up and down the coast for 15 days. In the Gulf of Thailand, more than 60% of everything caught in the ocean ends up as trash fish.
Makes me sick, actually.
The trash fish is piled onto trucks waiting to take it to the fish meal factory. I want to find out how these truckloads of trash fish are used to make prawn feed. My translator has arranged for us to visit a fish meal factory, but getting inside is not easy.
Let's hope we can get inside.
Once the owner, Madam Chok, understands that we aren't government inspectors, she does allow us inside.
Wow. Wow.
So these are all ready-made fish flour.
So this powder is exactly what we saw in the truck in dry powdered form.
Exactly.
Hot.
The trucks dump their load of trash fish into a large pit.
Oh, I see, yep. Right, so there's an auger underneath that shifts it. It's like a big spiral metal bit. This spiral will move the fish up into the tanks.
It then passes through a series of ovens and dryers that turn the massive marine life we saw being caught into a fine, dry powder.
I nearly gagged when we got to the pit where the trucks unload. It's a very modern factory. How long have you been making fish meal?
จริงๆแล้วเปิดมา20 กว่าปีแล้ว
Are there less fish generally now, or is it a seasonal thing?
โอ้ยเปลี่ยนเยอะเมื่อก่อนนี่ตอน20เมื่อก่อนที่ตอน20 ปีที่ผ่านมาเนี่ยปลาเยอะปลามากแล้วเราต้องทำ2 เครื่องแต่ 4-5 ปีมาแล้วที่น้อยค่อยๆน้อยลงมาเรื่อยๆแต่ปีนี้น้อยที่สุด
Does it concern you that there might be a permanent drop in the number of fish?
ไม่แน่ใจเพราะว่าตอนนี้นะลม
It's clear that for Madam Chok, less fish simply means less profit. And with the fish running out, she is moving on to something else.
เราก็มองว่าปลานี่มันไม่ยั่งยืนนะแล้วก็กลัวเดี๋ยวคนแถวเนี้ยป้าเอาคนหมู่บ้านแถวเนี้ยมาทำงานตอนนี้ป้าทำโรงงานน้ำมันปาล์มอยู่นะ
I'd love to see her being this environmental hero, saying we're going to make sure that the trawlers only use big nets, we're going to go further offshore. The reality is, she takes anything that comes through the door and makes money out of it. And that is a global responsibility. It's not just her responsibility.
So trash fish trawled from here is turned into fish meal, then sold to companies who mix it up with other ingredients into prawn feed. This is fed to farmed prawns, which are then harvested, sorted and exported to Australia and end up in our curries and on our pizzas. What's happening in Thailand is devastating, yet most of us know nothing about it. So what are we doing about this? One international body which assesses the impacts of fishing is the Marine Stewardship Council, or MSC. If certain criteria are met, the MSC gives a fishery a blue tick, certifying it as sustainable. In theory, this means fishing can continue indefinitely without depleting fish populations. It's an expensive and rigorous process to be certified, and there are still only a few MSC certified fisheries around the world. 85% of the prawns we produce in Australia are wild caught, and I want to go out on a prawn trawler to see exactly how they harvest them. I guess what I want to find out is, does Australia actually produce a sustainable prawn? The northern prawn fishery spans 6,000 kilometres, from Cape York in the east to the Kimberleys in the west, and in 2012 was officially certified by the MSC. I want to find out what this actually means. The fishermen here have made huge efforts to get the MSC tick, including limiting the number of boats and the time of year that they fish.
This massive expanse of ocean behind me is the northern prawn fishery, 750,000 square kilometres of it. There's 50 boats like this trawling for prawns through this water for about 6 months of the year. You've also in this water got not just prawns, you've got things like dugongs and shark and turtles, and they're trying not to catch that stuff. There's also all sorts of other marine life. I'll be really keen to see what comes up in the nets tonight.
When trawling with this kind of net, it's inevitable that other fish, or bycatch, are also caught.
Are all boats designed for people who are smaller than me?
In recent years, this has been minimised by only fishing at night.
I got sea view.
So I grab an afternoon nap before getting up at sunset in time to see how the trawling works.
Hey Matthew, how'd you sleep? Did you get some?
Yeah, I did.
Turn these hydraulics on and get the nets ready to go in the water. See those aluminium frames there, halfway down the net?
The skipper shows me what else they use to prevent catching the bigger creatures.
That stops all big fish, stingrays, shovel-nosed sharks, turtles.
And that's what would be called a turtle excluder?
We call it a TED, turtle excluder device.
You're pulling in the two big nets.
After hearing about all the effort to reduce the bycatch, it's surprising that as the first catch comes up, there's barely a prawn in sight to the untrained eye. Once the prawns are sorted, I can see there are plenty there after all. Everything else is called bycatch. By the time the prawns are sorted and the bycatch is sent back to sea down a chute, it's often dead. In the last 15 years, the fishery here has reduced bycatch by 50%. If it has improved by that much, I can't help imagining what it used to look like. Because of the turtle excluding devices, catching turtles now hardly ever happens. But a smaller test net doesn't have an excluder, and at one point during the night, it catches a turtle. We managed to get him out unharmed, and it's good to see him swim off into the night. Nowadays, very few large marine animals are harmed during prawn trawling.
They did 4 spills last night, which means they brought up the nets 4 times. This is the 4th time actually happening now. Now, I guess what I'm surprised at is the larger proportion of the catch is still fish. The prawns are in the minority. There's still bycatch here, but this is considered, you know, as sustainable as this fishery can be. Seeing the bycatch reminds me that prawns were once luxury food. We only ate them for special occasions. I look at this and I wonder if prawns should only be a luxury food. We shouldn't expect to eat them every day. This is the most sustainable way of doing it, and it still causes damage. Cheers, guys.
I want to find out more about how prawn trawling here is improving. So I'm going to see someone who has been fishing here for decades.
Prawns aren't the most sustainable seafood ever, but you guys have got the MSC tick.
We were the first tropical wild-caught fishery for prawns on the planet to get that certification. It's a massive fishery and our footprint is so small on this fishery. We've reduced the boat numbers from 300 down to 50, so there's a 600% decrease in bycatch immediately and probably another 30 to 40% by avoiding trawling in the daytime and by these other devices.
But you're still going to make those little incremental improvements to keep the certification. I guess they're always looking for you to prove that you haven't affected the ecosystem. We're
Evolving all the time. I've been a part of this fishery all my working life and I've seen changes year on year, and I'm extremely proud of the way we go about our business today. And the purchasers know they're getting something that's sustainable and will be there for years to come.
However sustainable these prawns may be, consumers will really only buy them if they taste good too. So I need to find out how they stack up in flavour compared to imported prawns. And I have a plan about how to do that.
Prawns, mate? Can't give them away.
I've been prawn trawling up here in the northern prawn fishery. But before I leave the Northern Territory, I'm keen to compare my wild-caught, sustainable prawns that were snap frozen on the boat in a taste test with frozen, farmed, imported ones.
Just got off this prawn trawler this morning and really keen to find out what the locals think about the prawns. So I'm going to do 2 types. I've got some from the local supermarket, from overseas, and some straight off the boat. See if they can taste the difference. Hey guys, who wants a prawn? You want prawns? Sorry, some prawns, mate? No worries, enjoy the volleyball match. Can't give them away. You want to try something? All right.
And it smells delicious.
It does smell delicious. I want there's 2 different sorts. Wouldn't mind you having a crack at them. Have one of those first. I want you to tell me the difference between that one and then grab one of these. And there may not be a difference.
It's a nice one.
This one's a better flavour?
Yep.
Prawns, anybody?
Delicious.
This is kind of a bit more meaty and juicy and yummy.
Juicy and yummy. Prawns?
That one's sweeter, I think.
That's sweeter?
Yeah.
I like the big one.
You like the big ones? Texture and flavour or just...
I like the flavour better.
I like the taste that's in that one.
In the big one? In the wild? So that's a wild-caught prawn, local prawn. Which one do you prefer?
First one.
Yep,
First one?
I like the first one.
We caught these last night, just 3 hours off the coast here. You can see by the plates how it went. Anyone who went for seconds went for the larger local prawns, the tiger prawns, and pretty much everyone preferred them.
So the Australian MSC ticked prawns win on both sustainability and taste. But how do we know at the fish shop which prawns are sustainable? I'm going to see for myself if I can buy these MSC ticked prawns anywhere in Australia's biggest city.
I'm in a shopping centre, not my natural environment, but this is where the fish shops are. I just want to ask some questions about your prawns. Yeah. I just wanted to find out, have you got any MSC ticked prawns?
Is that the preservative one?
The preservative one? No, it's a Marine Stewardship Council ticked prawns. It's like a certified sustainable prawn.
The sustainable prawn.
Yeah.
They are sustainable prawn.
They are sustainable prawn. They're not certified sustainable by the MSC.
I'm not sure.
Not sure. That's okay. He said they're all sustainable, which is kind of like a motherhood statement. People like to say that about everything these days. But no independent auditing of sustainability for the wild prawns that they've got in the window. See if I can find something else with. I'm just looking for MSC ticked prawns, Marine Stewardship Council approved prawns. You don't know what they are? Do people ever ask about sustainability of... No? Not at all.
Oh, I'll tell you maybe once every 6 months.
Oh, really? They've never heard of MSC ticked prawns either. Well, I've just come from the Coles seafood counter. I asked the same question, any MSC ticked prawns? No idea what I was talking about there either. I'm still on the hunt for these MSC ticked prawns. I'm in Bondi, in Sydney, and to see what sort of prawns they've got in the fish shops here. I just wonder if you've got MSC certified prawns.
Yes.
You
This
do?
one's here.
Great. Do you know whereabouts they're from?
Yeah, these are South Australian Green King prawns.
Yep. Have you got them labelled as MSC
No.
certified? You don't?
No, people haven't been asking for them.
Right.
It's not in their vocabulary yet.
Right. So do you think it'd be better to have more labelling?
It would be a good idea, because then they can have a more informed choice.
You don't actually put anything on there at the moment. You could say these are certified sustainable green prawns.
You got me there.
Yeah.
You got me there.
But you don't actually do it?
I should practice what I preach.
Well, that was great. That place actually had the MSC ticked prawns, but they're not labelled as such, so no one would know. It's been really hard to find these MSC ticked prawns in any normal fish shop. But I finally get a tip off that one place I can find them is a small restaurant in the inner west of Sydney called Fish & Co, run by a chef called Tom Kine. Tom, is it? Yeah, very well. Well, tell me about this MSC certification, because I see you've got the logo.
We're the first independent restaurant in New South Wales to get full chain of custody, and we've got that for 9 different species.
Tom explains that chain of custody means total traceability from ocean to plate. So a customer can trace a fish right back to the boat it was caught in and the captain who caught it. When I've been on this boat, they've packed on the boat and frozen on the boat. So the box you're getting is the same one that I put in the hold of the boat?
Absolutely. So the whole point of having the MSC certification is that it really is traceable. If you spoke to the captain and said what was the log for that day, at some point someone could trace that and say Matthew Evans caught these prawns.
Anyone can sell MSC ticked prawns, but to use the logo on the restaurant, you have to be audited every year.
It's very much a science-based certification process. It's not just because you want it, it's not just because you paid for it, you have to prove it. The standards are incredibly rigorous.
At Tom's restaurant, I know exactly what fish I'm getting, where it's from, and how it was caught. And the MSC tick also tells me it's sustainable.
This is our special for tonight, so we've got some grilled prawns with an Asian salad and chili caramel.
But what Tom's doing is rare. Most of the time, there is a labelling problem across all our seafood. So what is the law on seafood labelling? On wet fish, that is uncooked seafood, the laws are clear that it must say what it is and where it's from. The real loophole is on cooked seafood sold at restaurants or takeaways, which accounts for more than half of the seafood we eat. It can simply be sold as fish and chips or crumbed prawns, and that's not good enough. When we order prawns, for example, in restaurants or takeaways, we rarely get any information about where these prawns are from. So I want to persuade a restaurant or takeaway chain to swap out their imported prawns for a more sustainable option. If it costs a bit more, let's see if people are prepared to pay more. Where better to start than my old friends at Domino's, the biggest pizza company in Australia.
Hi, it's Tracy from Domino's Pizza. Sorry I missed your call, but if you could leave your name and number, I'll...
Yeah, g'day Tracy, it's Matthew Evans. I had this really good idea I'd love to share with you guys at Domino's about using certified sustainable prawns on your menu. Give me a call back if you get this. So that was the PR for Domino's. If I could get certified sustainable prawns into Domino's, I'd be getting certified sustainable prawns into just about every town in Australia, you know, into just about every second home in Australia. Hope she calls me back.
Hi, it's Tracy from
Matthew
Domino's
Evans calling again. Just ringing up about the certified sustainable prawn thing. I left a message yesterday. Give me a call back, that'd be fantastic. Right, Tracy, I'll try you again. Still keen to talk to you about the prawn idea I had, substituting. Yeah, g'day Tracy, it's Matthew Evans calling again. Send her a text too. Really keen if you could give me a call back. Bye. Geez, this is tough. But I've got an idea. If they won't agree to see me, I'll just go and see them. For weeks I've been trying to get hold of the mob at Domino's Pizzas and no one's calling me back. So what I've decided to do, I'm here in Brizzy, head office. I want to deliver an Australian prawn pizza and see if I can talk to the CEO about putting them on his menu. Nervous about doing this. It's not the sort of thing I normally do in Tasmania, show up to a big corporation, try to talk to the head honcho. After no joy calling Domino's on the phone, I've decided to turn up unannounced at their head office with a sustainable prawn pizza for the CEO. Hello. How are you going?
Good. Gourmet farmer.
It is.
How are you?
I'm really good. I've got a pizza I'd like to deliver to Don, if that's okay.
John, okay. Just bear with me a moment.
It's Matthew Evans. Good, how are you?
Hi, I'm Tracy.
Tracy! I think I've been leaving messages for you. Tracy.
Yeah, I haven't got any messages.
Oh, that's okay. I'm here to talk to you guys about sustainable prawns on your pizzas.
All right, well, do we mind turning this off so we can have a chat about this? And then we can turn it back on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may be a little rude of me to turn up uninvited, but at least I'm finally meeting Tracy face to face. I brought you an example of a delicious Australian prawn pizza. Have a smell of that. But after a little chat, it's clear my idea for them to use sustainable prawns on their pizzas is going nowhere. I think she was pretty unimpressed that I showed up with the pizza, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to hear from her again. At least we tried. Rang, emailed, texted, showed up at head office. Couldn't do more than that. Anyone want a piece of pizza? My search continues to find someone who is prepared to talk about it. All I want is to start a conversation. After yet more ringing around, I finally found a pizza chain in Sydney prepared to talk prawns with me.
This would be a silly idea we'd like to have a look at.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Tony. It's a start at least. I've been knocked back by Domino's, by Pizza Hut, by Crust. I even tried Sumo Salad and Sizzler. Luckily, these guys, they've got 7 branches around Sydney and they're willing to engage in a conversation about what they're using. I might even be able to convince them to swap out their current prawns for something better. This might be a slightly posher pizza place than Domino's and smaller in reach. But it seems this is where we have to start.
So in our freezer at the moment, we've got a couple of options. This is certainly the one we try to ask our wholesaler to get.
Yep.
I believe that might be a Malaysian one. We just find that a better quality.
Product of Malaysia.
Yeah. They're all imported, always imported. We just ask for a particular style of prawn, and we want the best price.
The sustainability aspect, I guess, is what I'm really interested in, and the truth in labelling, knowing exactly where your produce comes from. Ideally, trying to use something that's more sustainable than another option.
How an Australian great prawn stands up compared to these would be interesting. If it goes, oh, that's so much better.
I think you'll be amazed at the amount of flavour that comes out.
Yeah.
Now, to get peeled Australian prawns, it's not a cheap exercise. But what I would hope is that you're going to pass that cost on.
We're not at the cheaper end of the pizza market. Yeah. People are open to it, I hope.
Do you have the capacity to do a trial?
Yeah.
You do?
We can put a little bit of marketing behind it and come up with the product and give it a launch and see how it goes. Have you got any good truffles on your farm at the moment? You can...
Truffles, no.
That'll help get the price down.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
making the time to see me. Well, that was fantastic. Dan and Tony were really receptive. They got some practical issues, but I reckon we're one step closer to seeing if customers will actually pay more for a sustainable prawn pizza.
The problem is far deeper than just prawns. It is, in fact, all seafood. I'm in the largest fish market in the Southern Hemisphere. Most of the buyers here are wholesalers who sell the fish onto restaurants. Here, all the fish are labelled. The buyers know what they are getting, and this information will arrive at the back door of the restaurant. But then comes the problem.
Can I just get some prawn cutlets, please? Takeaway, thanks.
On cooked seafood, there is no law to tell the customer what they are eating or where it's from.
Can I get one of those little platters with the lobster and the oysters and stuff on it, please?
I think there's a simple fix. Better labelling.
Do you know where the prawns are from? Australia. Right.
I want all of us to have the information to make a more informed choice on all the fish and seafood we buy.
Can I get a sushi mix, please?
To try to get the ball rolling and make this actually happen, I'm organising a get-together with a select group of influential big fish from all sides of the seafood industry. And I have a plan to throw some fish on the table to show them the problems with seafood labelling.
Behind me I've got all these real movers and shakers in the seafood industry, and I really want to talk to them about labelling. And by the end of this meeting, I'd love to come to some kind of consensus. We'll see how we go. First thing I've got to do is get them to sit down there. Hey guys, do you mind if we just grab seats? That'd be great, thank you. Thanks for coming, guys. Some things I went and bought this morning. Lobster platter, so I presume it's got lobster on there.
What's the lobster, John? Cuba? Yeah.
Prawns, these were called just crumbed prawns from memory, or prawn cutlets.
We have 2 hours before the fish goes off. In that time, my goal is to get everyone to agree that all seafood must be labelled by law to say what it is, where it is from, and how it was caught or farmed.
This was sold as fish and chips.
One of the main issues is the difference in labelling laws between raw and cooked seafood.
These two here should have been labelled with species and country of origin. This one, because it was cooked, was provided an exemption. It went all the way to the back door of the restaurant, and then we chose to give the exemption to the restaurateur, providing that to the public. I can't see the benefit
So that
of
species information is getting to people who accept in the form of ready-to-eat cooked food.
From an environmental perspective, you have a right to know what you're eating. When we're talking about fish caught in the wild, it does come in all these different species. To do the right thing by the future, we need a system.
The problem comes back to the restaurant sector. One person can say that it's from Darwin and they've chosen to, say this is where it's from, and the other person next door doesn't have to.
The more information, the better. We've got a bloody good product, so we should be telling everyone about it.
In the first half hour, everyone agrees the current system has a problem.
You cannot possibly make that judgment. We cannot proceed with unsustainable.
Misleading advertising.
As we reach the halfway mark, it's clear not everyone agrees with what to do about it.
All I'm saying is that this tsunami of information is going to make it really difficult for consumers and probably say, well, I'll go the chicken instead.
That's the one bit I disagree with. I have to say, I think the more informed the consumer is, the more confidence you'll give them.
And all we're going to do is scare people away from consuming seafood.
But to be honest, John, the stuff I've seen on certain farms, stuff I would not eat, stuff I would eat, they both go to the same factory, get put in the same bag. And why shouldn't we know what we're eating?
I'm not disagreeing.
Where's the tipping point on this?
As time ticks on, the debate twists and turns through the labyrinth of labelling issues.
It's a missed opportunity.
How all sharks are called flake,
And flake initially was to eat a school or gummy shark. We have let it develop to become just shark.
The issue of whether we are eating the right type of fish.
You've got 70, 80 species being caught in one fishery, but people only wanting 5. We've really got to sell that story about why you should eat those other, and convince them that it's the same. It's very similar type of eating quality.
And how the European Union is way ahead of us with compulsory labelling on all seafood.
Call me an old-fashioned patriot, but I don't see why an Australian consumer who cares about their fish and cares about the future should have any less rights than a Frenchman or an Italian.
Okay, well look, if we can encourage...
I'm not saying all are bad, I'll be very clear about that.
But with only a few minutes left, just as the fish starts to smell, I sense a consensus could be emerging.
Consumers want and deserve to be told what species they're eating and where it's from.
It's so fundamental that we have transparent labelling because it is the cornerstone of sustainability. It doesn't fix everything, but you can't fix anything without it.
I agree that that we should be providing as much information as accessibly and as openly as we can.
I'm the CEO of Australia's second largest fishery, and the best thing about today for me, is that I'm here with a restaurateur, someone from Greenpeace and a Green senator, and I haven't disagreed with anything they've said, and they've all talked about the strength of Australian fisheries management and about promoting Australian product, and that to me is fantastic.
So we're all on board except John's in the lifeboat. Right,
Mate, I'm just trying to be a man of the people. I mean, it's...
The man of the people, you've got to protect their rights.
That's what I'm
And they have a right to know.
You're almost out of time.
As the clock ticks to the end of our debate and the fish will not last any longer, I put pressure on the politician to turn this fishy furor into real-life legislation.
Look, I don't think too much information can hurt. The best thing to do would be actually to try and get this off into a Senate inquiry so we can actually have a look at all this information that's in front of us and call all the stakeholders in to give evidence on this. And I'll take this to Canberra and quite happy to put it on the table at the right committee.
We'll collect all the business cards from around the table because I reckon you've got a whole bunch of people you can have at your Senate committee hearing. Anyway, feel free to help yourself to these if you like. It was actually really quite complex, but that really disparate group of very influential people seemed to reach consensus. We want better labelling, and the Senator reckons he can get us a committee hearing in the Senate about labelling. So we're actually making really good progress.
So I've only just got going on my fishy journey. And I know I've still got plenty more to find out before I front a Senate inquiry. Next time, I'm going to tackle another iconic Australian fish, the shark.
Oh, there we go.
They get sold as flake. We don't label, and it's something that we probably should address.
Why don't we know when we're eating it?
Probably a bit like eating panda, only fishier.
But what I know is that there's better fish and better choices to make.
I'll follow up with my pizza chain about our plan to swap the prawns on their pizzas.
We want to see what our customers think.
And crucially, I'll gather more heavyweight support for the campaign to make us all more informed about the fish in our dish.
Have you ever been to a restaurant that serves mammal?
Whether you like it or not, you're going to be part of that parliamentary inquiry.
Join me next time as we continue to ask,
what's the catch? In Australia, we love our seafood, and I'm no different. But how much do we really know about where our seafood comes from? I'm going on a journey to investigate the truth about Australia's seafood.
We've become addicted to eating species like tuna.
This is the slaughterhouse of the sea.
And salmon.
You're just getting covered in this stuff.
Whenever we want. I want to explore the impacts of producing all this fish.
Save the environment, you gotta save the environment. It sounds good.
So you don't believe the science?
No,
and you
it's
think
nonsense.
As my campaign to ensure proper labelling builds momentum in Canberra,
We need to find a way that we get the majority support in the Parliament so we can actually make this happen.
I'm going to ratchet up the pressure. One of the things I saw on the menu was southern bluefin tuna.
Are you in the Greenpeace corner or are you the fisherman's corner?
Challenging tastemakers and opinion formers to get on board.
Where do we come in?
Well, you're leaders in the industry. Before it's too late.
These are the fish that I want to get people eating. The problems are complex and shocking, but we can all be part of the solution. I want to show you how. Fish and chips, two types, Thai prawns. When we buy seafood, we need to ask, what's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch?
It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. When I moved to Tassie to become a pig farmer, I had no idea of the scale of fish farming in the oceans around me. Pretty much everywhere you go around Australia, and especially here in Tassie, salmon is always on the menu. In Australia, around 40% of the seafood we eat is farmed. And our most popular fish, Atlantic salmon, is all farmed. Around the world, fish farming outstripped cattle farming as a source of protein for the first time in 2012. I want to know what the impact is of so much aquaculture. What are the best fish to farm and what aren't? The largest fishing fleet in the country is in Port Lincoln, South Australia. Said to have the highest number of millionaires per capita in Australia, it's the town that tuna built. Over the last 20 years, the tuna industry has grown from $8 million into a $200 million jackpot. Some people have got rich on these fish. But at what cost?
G'day.
Come in.
Oh, I'm Matthew.
I can stay. Come into my humble cottage.
Nice.
Good to see you.
It's bigger than my farm, this place. Thanks for
Please,
this.
come in.
No worries, thank you.
Hagen Steer is one of the original tuna barons here.
See those flake? That's where the tuna farms first started years ago. Pitches out there, that's been...
They fished so enthusiastically in the 70s and 80s that an international outcry resulted in a strict fishing quota on tuna.
We really hit our backs against the wall, and that's when we thought, what shall we do? What is the next step? Right now, we can't overcatch 2 fish. You actually can finish up in jail. Every fish is getting, yeah, it's a criminal offense. Every fish is getting counted now. Yeah. So you can't get away with anything.
Hagen responded by inventing a whole new type of aquaculture.
And what you see now is the first in the world. We invented the system of offshore ranging.
Hagen's offshore tuna ranching has become a lucrative export all over the world.
Hi Matthew, good morning, welcome.
I'm heading out to sea with his son Marcus to see how it works.
You're a seasoned pro, you've done it before.
No. Once I vote.
Southern bluefin tuna is a migratory fish that travels up to 8,000 kilometres across the southern hemisphere. It's been so heavily fished in countries right across its range that it's now categorised globally as critically endangered. After spawning in the Indian Ocean, juvenile fish arrive off the coast of South Australia in December to March each year. In the ranching process, schools of juveniles are captured from the wild in huge purse seine nets and slowly dragged back to Port Lincoln. They're fattened up in open sea cages before being harvested for market.
And we've come an hour or so out of Port Lincoln. From here I can see probably 10, 15 sea cages dotted around. This is where all the tuna live and where they're going to be pulled out and harvested today. And how many fish are we going to do today?
We're looking to do 1,200.
1,200 fish.
These fish have been in here about 6 months now, and the fish are fed in these cages on a daily basis.
What do you feed them to get them to fatten up?
We feed pellets, we feed herring, we feed sardines, we feed anchovy.
How much feed do you have to give them?
Our conversion rate is about 10 to 1.
So 10 times as many sardines and pellets and pilchards?
For a kilo of growth.
For a kilo of tuna, southern bluefin tuna.
Absolutely. But like we're doing a lot of trials. And
it's gobsmacking, one of the worst conversion rates of all fish. 10 kilograms of feed produces just 1 kilogram of tuna flesh. These are hungry carnivores, and I'm about to jump in with them.
Slightly nervous about this. It's a very different situation than just going for a dive. So here goes.
One of the fastest fish in the ocean, these powerful, warm-blooded predators are sometimes called the tigers of the sea. Are they really the right fish to be ranching?
Most critically endangered fish on the planet, and I can't actually believe I'm here swimming amongst them.
But this is no tuna safari. This is a harvest. Each fish is caught individually by hand to protect their delicate flesh. It's all about ensuring the highest price at market.
Well, it's not the perfect day for it. What happens to them as they come up the chute?
As the fish come up, and the fish are spiked first, right through the top of the head and into the brain, it kills the fish dead instantly. The next man will bleed the fish so that bleeding process starts. Because if we don't, the blood will congeal in the meat, which isn't good as a fish is sashimi grade quality. And then the next man's got a coring tool. Goes into the top of the head next to the brain, and then the spike is inserted down the full length of the backbone. And then what that does is absolutely kill all the nerve endings, so the fish is completely dead. That's actually a very, very important process, that the fish are killed, spiked, and bled properly.
For a lot of people, I guess, seeing this sight, they're getting their guts taken out, their gills taken out. Probably looks quite horrific. Strangely enough, I don't enjoy the sight of blood, but because we rear animals to be eaten, it's not an unfamiliar sight. I guess this is the slaughterhouse of the sea.
1,200 sashimi-grade southern bluefin tuna have been harvested here today. But none of this prime seafood will ever reach the Australian market.
We're heading to a Japanese freezer boat. They're going to pick up all their tuna once this boat's full behind me, straight to Japan.
These fattened up juvenile fish are harvested before they're old enough to reproduce. How can that not impact negatively on the birth of new stock? In Australia, if a fish stock falls below 20 to 30% of its original pre-fishing level, or biomass, the fishery is considered at risk of collapse. After years of overfishing, scientists agree southern bluefin tuna is below that level. Because these fish migrate across borders, an international commission sets the quota. This commission is made up of the world's main southern bluefin tuna fishing nations, and I reckon they would have a strong commercial interest in continuing fishing. And so, despite southern bluefin tuna being a threatened species, fishing continues.
Tuna is overfished, tuna is overfished. I've seen 4 generations of scientists. Those young starry-eyed graduates coming out of university want to change the world. They learn everything out of books, and they're not prepared to go the next step. They're not prepared to stay here and have a see what we're doing and the amount of fish which is available. Oh, we've got to save the environment, we've got to save the environment. It sounds good. It's all political propaganda. We're actually getting more quota
So you don't
back.
believe the science?
No,
and you
it's
think
nonsense.
It's political interference?
No, absolutely.
So Hagen doesn't believe the science. But what about the boss of the national industry body? What does he think of tuna stocks?
I've arranged to see Brian Jeffries. He's the head of the Southern Bluefin Tuna Association. I've got a whole bunch of questions I really want to ask him. Any regional fishery in Australia that had dropped below 10% of original spawning biomass would be considered in collapse. Why is that not happening with southern bluefin tuna?
Because it's an international fishery and it's outside our control. The model used to set the quota now shows about 9%, which is not enough.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I read some advice to a minister in mid-2000s to not declare southern bluefin tuna as endangered or critically endangered because then we couldn't fish for it. Is that true?
Yes. The point was that if we stop, because it's an international fishery, no one else would stop, obviously. That's the way that they manage their part of the fishery. So we didn't stop.
The result of not stopping was a decline of tuna stocks for a decade from the year 2000.
15, 20 years ago, the industry were like cowboys. Scientists were all wrong.
But weren't you head of the Tuna Fisheries Association in that year 20 years ago?
we knew, we know now that we were wrong about a lot of things. But there's no use living in the past. You can live with a sense of revenge and things like that. You've just got to look forward, and that's what we do. They'll start drilling in 2000.
So even though southern bluefin tuna stocks are at last heading in the right direction, if the current stock is still only 9% of its original level, that to me is still nowhere near good enough.
So southern bluefin tuna gets a big red light from me. If you want to eat tuna, it's actually really well labelled, so choose things like skipjack or albacore that are pollen line caught, and leave southern bluefin alone until stocks properly recover.
While the exact level of tuna stocks may be debated, there's one stat no one can dispute. Every kilogram of tuna that lands on our plate requires 10 kilograms of feed. There must be better options for us to eat than southern bluefin tuna. So what are they? On my fishy journey around Australia, I've discovered a clear need for far better labelling on our seafood.
Oh, do you know where the barramundi's from?
South Australia?
No worries. Do you know where the flake's from? Like what sort of species is?
It's school shark, yeah. So.
School shark?
Yeah.
So I've started a campaign to improve the law on that.
Come along for free fish and chips at Parliament House today. We've got fish and chips.
Yep.
And this one's fish and chips. Rules we've got around seafood in Australia. Now I've cooked it, I don't have to tell you what it is or where it's from.
I took a fish and chip van to Parliament House to show politicians the problem of not having obligatory labelling on cooked fish.
So I'm frightened about what's under this banner.
You should tell me.
But I don't have to. So would you like to see country of origin labelling at the retail level? But yep.
Now, I've been invited into the corridors of power to see how we can make change really happen.
Nick Xenophon's invited me inside to actually nut out the campaign from here on in. So I'm going into Parliament House now. This is really happening.
I think this will be moved by consumer power, people power in a sense, because this just makes common sense. This is not rocket science.
I want Nick to help me change the law, so we have to be told what species we're eating, where it's from, and how it was caught or farmed.
So it's a question of including sustainability in any labelling regime. If the federal government has political will, we can go a long way in dealing with this. And that's why, whether you like it or not, you're going to be part of that parliamentary inquiry. So we're going to work on some draft terms of reference.
It's exciting news, if a little daunting. But if we are successful and consumers become better informed, we'll need to know what fish we should be eating. Are there plentiful species that we can eat sustainably instead of tuna? I'm going to meet a man who says there are.
Jim, is
Hi,
it?
Matthew.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Fremantle.
Thank you, mate. This is your boat? Looks like an Italian fishing boat.
Yeah, it is. Hop on board.
You lead on.
When Jim's Italian father and his friends discovered large schools of sardines just off the coast of Fremantle, they thought they'd struck gold.
A few Italian families brought in nets from Italy, and they were catching so many, and the Australians didn't know what to do with sardine. Yeah. They would call them muleys. Yeah, they call them muleys.
Muleys.
Or pilchards, but which is always regarded as bait. Wouldn't even dare eat it. But it was only the Italians, Croatians, Asians, Portuguese that knew what they were, but they were catching too many for the market.
Right.
So a lot of it went for recreational bait.
Yep.
And then pet
Pet
food and
food
stuff.
after that.
Yeah.
About 40,000 tonnes of sardines are caught each year in Australia, way more than any other wild-caught fish, and stocks are still abundant. But I'm amazed to discover that only a tiny fraction of this bumper catch is for human consumption. Most of it goes to Port Lincoln to feed the tuna. There are 8 licences to fish sardines in Western Australia, and 7 of them are still available.
I'm the only one left now fishing this whole area. Yeah. The others geared up big time for the tuna farms to catch a lot of fish, whereas we stayed specialised in food.
So if I'm eating sardines on a plate in a restaurant, are they probably yours?
Yeah, 95% is mine. We just run over them. You have to actually run over the fish. That was a school I just seen in advance.
Right.
We're going to have to hurry because the sun's coming up. You'll see it all happening. Yeah. There's dolphins on that direction there. It means there's fish around here as well.
Are they a problem for you in the net?
No. Well, they circle and keep the fish...
Like a kelpie?
Yeah.
350 metres of net, just running it out in a circle around where we think the sardines are.
One more time. Birds and the dolphins are having a feed, so we've definitely got fish in the net. We're winching up. It's called pursaning, like a lady's purse or a marble bag. You draw the string and it closes.
Oh, marble bag, I recognise, more than a lady's purse. Yeah.
It's the easiest commercial fishing I've ever seen. In no time at all, Jim's net is packed with fish.
Okay, Matthew, you ready for the hard bit?
The hard bit?
Me and you are going to be scooping all these fish out.
Are we? All right.
Okay, here we go. Big one. You go right there.
Wasn't that a big one?
No.
We're little ones like that.
It's a small scoop. 299 to go.
This is hard yakka.
Again? Yep, that's the way.
After a few scoops, my hands are shaking.
Okay, that's it.
Thankfully, it turns out Jim's been pulling my leg.
We don't really scoop, Matthew. You know? We pump the fish on board.
You could let me turn the tap on.
But in the old days, we used to scoop by hand. We'd be buggered before we even got in.
I know, I bet. Yeah.
The dolphins are too smart to get caught in the net. But I'm wondering what other species might have been snared by mistake.
I'm just trying to scoop out any bycatch, the fish that aren't sardines. There's like 2 tonnes of sardines, roughly, we think, and then there's just 6 of these little bycatch. So hardly enough for the crew's breakfast, really. That's targeted fishing. And this fish can be caught like this forever.
Everything about this fishing makes sense. It's barely 2 hours since we left port and we've already caught a boatload of sardines and virtually nothing else.
This is the small, fast-growing fish that we should actually be eating far more often than some of the other big fish that we tend to end up eating. For environmental and gastronomic reasons, these are the fish that I want to get people eating. So sardines get a big green light from me. Swapping out big fish like salmon and tuna for small fish like sardines is key to protecting our precious wild resources.
I want to show people the joy of eating smaller, sustainable species.
These are the sardines that we caught on the boat yesterday. Still looking glorious. And just dropping into Clancy's, we're going to do a taste-off, try to convert people to the joys of eating sardines.
I've challenged local foodie and fellow sardinista Anna Gare to a sardine cook-off. I think I've got my work cut out.
You're into sardines, they're your local...
I'm a Freo girl, born and bred, and yeah, sardines are big. This is the sardine city. You've got Jim Mendola just catching all those sardines just over there.
So what I was thinking, if we both did a dish,
Yeah?
I just want to do a crumbed one with a couple of little things on top just to
Nice.
help it slide down.
I might sort of go Tunisian style. It's completely different from yours.
All right, and I'm thinking if we get a whole bunch of people come in here,
Yeah.
cheer for their favourite one, whoever's dish wins, I've got Justin to agree to put it on his special list for a week.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. One really beautiful, fresh sardine fillet. Rub them in a bit of harissa and fry them. I want to thrash that gourmet farmer.
That's fantastic.
That's the beautiful winning harissa.
Tassie saffron, soaked overnight to extract all the flavour.
The skin side down. It smells good.
Thank you. So, crumb sardine, smoked tomato relish, saffron aioli.
My sardine dish is first up in the taste test. We've invited some special guests to come down and try them, especially those who've never liked or even tried sardines.
Oh, but I've never had a sardine before. Really? Never. But I'm really enjoying that.
When you buy sardines normally like in the can, they're very pungent and strong, but these are really quite subtle and actually, yeah, really fresh.
Delicious. Yes, I don't like sardines. She does now.
Beautiful. I mean, I thought it was going to be a bit, excuse the technical term, a bit fishier than that.
You might get one of your sardine converts out of me, I think.
Now it's Anna's turn to lay her sardines on the table.
Harissa sardine. We're serving them on a little quinoa tabbouleh. I'm really feeling confident.
That's completely different. Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing. You don't have to say that because I'm here, girls.
I love this, but if I was on a deserted island, I think I'd go with the crumb, yeah.
You're pleasantly surprised with how good it is. I was just chatting to the table down here and they absolutely loved them. And they said good things about yours too.
Did they? And I can see a few $5 notes hanging out of her back pocket, actually.
Yeah. They're both fantastic, so it's going to be a very close comp. So good.
I'd like to ask you to vote. Start with the crumb dish first. The harissa spice dish. Harissa spice sardine has just taken it out.
Anna may have been a worthy winner, but the Mayor of Fremantle has a diplomatic suggestion to rescue my injured pride.
You could do both sort of specials and rotate them and see which actually...
So lucky Freo locals now have 2 delicious sardine recipes to try. We may have a few sardine converts in Freo, but now I want to convert the nation. It's vital to get the tastemakers and trendsetters on side, so their influence can trickle down to the rest of us. And I think I know where I can find them.
It's the worst night to eat in Melbourne because every good chef is here.
The Good Food Guide Awards are held every year in Sydney and Melbourne.
I'm doing a bit of a survey on seafood.
And I know it's the place to get in the ear of the top chefs.
Do you pride yourselves on having sustainable seafood on the menu?
The thing is with seafood, you don't know what you're buying. You're taking the word of your seafood supplier. There's no certification like there is with meat, and you don't know what you're getting either.
I believe you had southern bluefin on the menu.
Yeah, we had it on there a while ago.
It had some trouble.
Yeah, we did have a bit of trouble with that. We don't use it anymore.
What's happening in there, it reminds me of the power that you have to make change in society through these people. And they're some of the best chefs in the country. If we can get them to make change, then we can make change in society as a whole. I really want to provide the incentive for change. My idea is to convince the Good Food Guide to reward chefs with a Sustainable Seafood Award, something for the chefs who swap out things like salmon and tuna for things like sardine and mackerel and actually put that on their menu.
I want to come back to the next awards to see it announced.
Well, that was a big night, I have to say. Today, though, I want to go straight to the top. I want to talk to the editors of the Good Food Guide, see if they'll come on board with my idea to have actually a Sustainable Seafood Award this time next year. Hello.
Hi, Matthew.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for this.
Oh, sorry.
Hello.
Joanna. Where do we come in?
Well, you're leaders in the industry. So, in my dream,
Yeah.
what would happen is a Sustainable Seafood Award. An award to motivate the better restaurants. The ones in your guide are the ones that the lesser restaurants look to for inspiration. So if they see someone...
Joanna and Roz listened to my pitch, but I'm not sure I'm scoring any points.
Do you think, Matthew, that this is actually something that genuinely would add value to the guide and to the restaurants?
It would give the restaurant the credibility for choosing more sustainable fish, and it would give the consumer the confidence to know that those restaurants are taking it more seriously.
I think, to be fair, probably the chefs are just as confused as the consumers a lot of the time.
It's a very complicated issue.
Give us a month.
I'll give you a month.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's frustrating that I couldn't get them to commit. But I'll be chasing them up, that's for sure. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get the ball rolling by paying a visit to one of the top chefs in the country.
So I'm here to see Neil Perry. He's one of the most influential chefs in Australia. I happen to know he's got southern bluefin tuna on his menu sometimes, and I actually want to ask him why. I'm trying to get the Good Food Guide interested in a Sustainable Seafood Award.
Sure.
Would you be a fan of that kind of award?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anything we can do to highlight the state of seafood in this country is a good thing.
Is a good thing. One of the things I saw on the menu a couple of months ago now was southern bluefin tuna.
Yeah. We do tend to listen to the fishermen about, you know, the employment that brings, the fact that they believe they are increasing the biomass steadily.
Any other fishery in Australia would be shut down.
Sure.
At that level.
So I guess it depends on, you know, are you in the Greenpeace corner or are you the fisherman's corner? We're probably somewhere in between.
I think people look up to you, and if they see it on your menu, a lot of people, you know...
Yeah.
They go, my God, Neil Perry, he's got southern bluefin tuna.
You know, I do grapple with that often.
Would you consider not putting it on the menu next season?
You know, it's interesting.
I know I've put Neil on the spot here, but what better time to take a stand?
I do have that balancing act, so it was really difficult.
Southern bluefin tuna?
Yes.
Next season?
No, we're not using it.
You're not using it?
No, I never.
Wow.
I promise.
Well,
I
hey,
promise.
a victory.
So, yeah, you got a victory.
Got one. Wow, what a result. Neil Perry's agreed to take southern bluefin tuna off his menu. If one of Australia's most influential chefs has agreed to do that, hopefully it'll be this trickle-down effect and we'll see lots of other chefs doing the same.
I just had a call from the Good Food Guide.
I hope it's good news. Hey, Jan.
Hi, Matt. Welcome to the Age.
Thank you. Hey,
Hi,
Ross. Nice to see you again.
We've got some good news for you.
Some good news?
Some good news.
That's
we have
good.
decided that the Good Food Guide will award a Sustainable Seafood Award this year.
Fantastic.
In the next edition.
Yeah, great. Yay.
So my campaign for better labelling has gained some momentum. And from now on, chefs will win awards for using the right seafood and labelling it as such. But what about the fish most of us eat at home? The biggest selling fish in Australia is Atlantic salmon, but there's no Atlantic here, so these non-native fish are all farmed. And I want to know if this means it's a good choice for us or not. As the global population climbs beyond the 7 billion mark, there are more and more of us to feed. Large-scale aquaculture could be one way to feed the extra mouths. But what species of fish should we farm? My home state of Tasmania is home to Australia's biggest salmon farms. All over the waterways near me, you see heaps of salmon farms. And I guess I want to find out the impact of all that salmon farming. And is salmon the right fish to farm? I've come to Tassal, the biggest producer in Australia, to their hatchery to find out. Hey there.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
You have to put these on.
Yep.
For biosecurity reasons. Matthew, this is our incubation.
Salmon is easy to breed because hatchlings have a fresh water cycle that is simple to control.
These are Atlantic salmon eggs.
This Tassal hatchery produces 4 million Atlantic salmon each year.
After the eggs hatch, we get them in here.
Right.
And so what we have in this tank is about 50,000.
When the hatchlings are 12 to 18 months old, they're moved into open sea cages off the coast. A pen like this, which holds how many fish?
About 30,000, 20 to 30,000 fish.
25 to 30,000. Yeah. 25 to 30,000. Jesus, that's a lot of fish.
They school at a natural density, and we follow the RSPCA UK Atlantic farming standards, so we have quite a bit of science behind them.
With 4.8 million salmon in the water here at any one time, they produce a huge amount of waste. I want to know what this does to the environment. Just getting kitted up to have a dive in one of these pens with the salmon. See them on their own level. Depending on their size, the salmon are fed up to 4 times a day to get them up to a harvesting weight of 5 kilograms. And I'm just in time for their next meal.
And we have feed.
There's a fair amount of sort of white stuff floating in the water, fish poo or something.
With open sea cages like these, fecal waste and uneaten pellets escape through the cage and into the main waterway, raising nutrients like nitrogen to potentially harmful levels. Oh my God. When I was having a swim in there was white stuff floating throughout the whole pen. Do you guys have to have an effluent management plan? Because presumably all these fish, all that feed, all that poo.
Yeah, no, we do. We have to manage that very closely. And we have 2 impacts. We have the solids that fall to the bottom, or the particulate, and then we'd have the dissolved nutrients in the water. We have to do annual reporting on that, and we're audited.
We need to be responsible stewards for the water we farm in, just like you and your cows.
Yeah. Like herds of grazing cows, the sea cages are moved around with areas left to lie fallow to recover. But as salmon has only been farmed here since the mid-1980s, the long-term impact of this waste on the waterways is unknown. Tassal have made efforts to minimise their impact on the environment, and their farms are now certified as sustainable by the Aquaculture Stewardship Council. However, plans to double production by 2030 means environmental groups remain concerned about the future of salmon farming here.
We're just going to have a look at the harvesting of the salmon. So they're pulling them straight out of these sea pens.
The harvesting process runs like clockwork. The salmon swim unwittingly up this wide tube, which funnels them directly into a stun machine and into a spiker. It falls to this guy to finish off any salmon that aren't quite dead.
Just making sure they don't get into the hold alive.
That's right. Yep.
And that's like what is it, a bolt or something, or like a little hammer?
No prizes for guessing where Grim got his nickname.
Just a few of the 12,000 fish that are going to die today on this boat. You're just getting covered in this stuff.
With aquaculture farms like this dotted all along the Tassie coast and plans to expand further in the west, it's not surprising that Tassie salmon farming brings in $500 million each year. But in addition to all the waste produced, the crucial issue for me is what are all these salmon eating? If there's a lot of wild fish in their feed, we have a problem.
How many wild fish are currently going into the feed to create a kilo of salmon?
Roughly getting close to 2 to 1. We can on fish meal, we're getting closer and closer to 1 to 1. It's the oil that's kind of the limiting factor, so we're still working at reducing it.
Compared to the huge 10 to 1 ratio of tuna ranching, salmon farming is much better at 2 to 1. But that's still twice as much fish going in than is coming out, a net loss to the wild. From what I've seen so far, I'm not convinced salmon is the solution we need. Now I'm now headed to the factory where they produce the feed to learn more about what I think is the major problem with salmon farming.
Every year we produce about 70,000 tonnes of fish food, which is what, 28 million meals for fish or something like that. It's probably even higher than that.
Isn't this amazing? 800 tonnes of fish feed in here. Now, most of it going to Tasmanian salmon. This is the industrial side of aquaculture.
Seafood is considered healthy because fish are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, and they get it from eating smaller fish, krill and shrimp in the wild. Feed pellets traditionally are made with fish meal and fish oil derived from wild fish, like anchovies. Feed manufacturers are now successfully reducing the fish meal required, but replacing the fish oil that provides the omega-3s is proving more tricky.
Fish doesn't care where those amino acids or fatty acids come from, so we can actually provide a lot of those essential materials from a poultry. It's an animal protein, and that fish will look for that protein source.
So it's the same building blocks in a different form.
Same building blocks, different form. With our product is 36% oil, very high, and that's where the fish really get their energy from. So by using those oils well, we can really get very high growth rates out of the fish.
Okay, so while there is still a lot of wild fish used to make fish oil, they are finding ways to replace the fish meal with soy and other proteins.
And I think it won't be long before we can actually do away with marine protein entirely, so fish meals we won't need at all.
You won't need it?
No.
You'll
no.
be just using land-based proteins?
Yeah, probably, and vegetable proteins.
So if you could use no wild fish meal and produce the same quality fish pellet, you would?
Oh yeah, I think it's quite within our reach.
Right. How long?
I think the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, really close.
I absolutely believe it, yeah.
I'd love to share James's optimism, but what are the consequences of replacing the salmon's marine diet with land-based proteins? We need to know if we harbour any hope of feeding the world through aquaculture. Professor Carlos Duarte is one of the world's top experts on food security and aquaculture.
When we eat fish and seafood products, we're also purchasing the health benefits of seafood. And those health benefits are actually delivered by the food web, not by the fish themselves. So we might be buying in the market something that looks like fish, but it might have been fed with soybean. And I think there are fundamental risks in that pathway. It's huge.
Hang on a minute, that's very different from what I heard at the salmon feed factory. Professor Duarte is saying that the health benefits of seafood come directly from what the fish eat in the wild. So pellets made with land-based proteins may not deliver us the same nutrition.
So I don't think there's a future anywhere in farming salmon and tuna. And we have to realize that that industry is only 30-year-old. Whereas we have been farming and growing food on land for 10,000 years, we are now just in our generation learning how to control the food production from the ocean. So the learning curve.
So the World Authority on Aquaculture thinks there's no future in farming salmon or tuna. And the prawn farming I saw in Thailand was devastating the environment to feed the prawns. So that's clearly not the future either. So is there any aquaculture that is not having an impact on the environment? Professor Duarte has suggested a trip to North Queensland to visit an Australian prawn farm.
Having seen those prawn farms in Thailand, I've got to say, it's pretty shocking. There's got to be a better way. So I've come to far North Queensland, where they've got what they reckon are prawn farms that are world's best practice.
Close to the ocean, but totally separate from it, Pacific Reef Fisheries has 70 ponds, each holding 500,000 prawns. That's a lot of prawns to feed and a lot of prawn poo to clean up. Tackling these problems is this group of scientists and entrepreneurs, and they reckon they have some answers.
We don't believe in the long term that it's sustainable to go and catch wild animals and, grind them up and feed them to farmed animals.
Over the last 10 years, they've developed a new additive for prawn feed called Novac, replacing the need for wild fish in the feed. Novac is made with what prawns naturally eat in the wild, tiny marine microbes, which Nigel Preston and his team at the CSIRO have learned to cultivate in seawater.
This looks like a bucket of dirt.
It does look like a bucket of dirt, and that's what microbes eat.
Oh, OK. Right, so it's more than just dirt.
Yes, it is.
It's formulated dirt.
Formulated dirt is exactly what it is.
So what's exactly in it?
So that's a secret. It's a secret patented formula that we're not going to tell you.
This is cutting-edge Australian science.
It certainly is.
That you're keeping secret.
We are.
All right, let's see how it works.
It's taken us 10 years to work out what to feed these tiny little microorganisms so that they behave exactly like they do in nature. They will absorb all the nutrients from this material and have phenomenally fast growth rates so that within a few days we'll be able to harvest the material and we use some other tricks then, and then it'll end up in a prawn pellet, and that's what we feed to the prawns.
Right.
And the prawns that get Novac grow 30 to 40% faster than their colleagues that don't have it.
So you're not only taking wild fish out of the equation, you're getting faster growth.
Absolutely. No wild harvest fish meal or fish oil, so the feed formulation's entirely sustainable.
And it doesn't stop at prawn feed. At this prawn farm, they've gone even further. They've also learned how to make the most of their wastewater. By growing a bumper crop of seaweed in it, they've discovered that it both cleans the water and turns a tidy profit.
So these are essentially cleaning the water from the prawn farm?
Yes. So what we're really doing in this process is intercepting that waste and turning that waste into a valuable resource.
This is human food product?
This is a human food product.
Right.
We've also trialled it as an animal feed product, and we've even taken to the point of making fuels from the same seaweed at the same time.
It's a food product for the Japanese or Asian market. We're able to get $10,000 a tonne, but a product that's really loved through Asia as a flavouring for soups, for pancakes, and a whole range of different foods.
In terms of population, we're going to go to 9 billion people in the next 35 years. Are we going to see the world population eating more algae or lower in the food chain to get those omega-3s.
Oh,
to get those
absolutely.
healthy
I think we're
fats.
seeing it now. In China, it's up to 8% of their food portion comes from algae-based products.
Wow, this is a good type of prawn farming. Finally, a glimpse of sustainable aquaculture. After nearly a year on my fishy journey, I feel I've made some real progress. And I'm excited to head back to Melbourne for the presentation of the inaugural Good Food Guide's Sustainable Seafood Award.
So the winner of the award tonight is the perfect winner.
A year ago, I started my journey into the truth about our seafood. I drummed up support from chefs and got the Good Food Guide to introduce the Sustainable Seafood Award. A year later, I'm back to see who wins the first of these awards.
I'm stoked they have actually asked me to present it.
For the last 12 months, seafood suppliers and restaurants have been scrutinised for their fishy credentials.
Matthew Evans, round of applause.
Thank you. The winner of the award tonight is the perfect winner. They're a grower, they're at the cutting edge. They're the person who grows, harvests and markets the most sustainable seafood you can get. Oysters and blue mussels, things that actually help clean the environment in which they're grown. This person
I want the award to inspire chefs around the country to label their fish and pledge support for a change to the law.
The winner of the Age Good Food Guide's first ever Sustainable Seafood Award is Lance Whiffen. Brilliant. I really love it. Ellie, you with me?
I'm with you.
You with me, Shane? Good on you, mate.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're with me on that.
With a growing number of chefs on board, I now need to focus on the tricky business of actually changing the law.
Thank you. Fantastic, you're already with me. Good on you, Philip. Appreciate that.
Several months ago, I confronted politicians with the problem, and Nick Xenophon invited me into the big house to help push for a Senate inquiry into seafood labelling.
Whether you like it or not, you're going to be part of that parliamentary inquiry.
After all the pressure I've been putting on about changing seafood labelling laws in Australia, and thanks to politicians like Nick Xenophon, we've got a Senate inquiry and I've been invited to give evidence.
We invite you, Mr. Evans, to make a brief opening statement.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today. I've been to every state in Australia, spoken to politicians, I've met fishermen, I've met environmentalists, I've met scientists. Really what the laws do at the moment is they don't allow us to know what we're putting in our mouths. So we don't know exactly what it is, we don't know where it's from, and we certainly have no idea about how it's caught or if it was farmed from current labelling laws. And so I'm here to put the consumer's point of view of why changing the law would benefit them. The way it works at the moment, you can just call something fish, and it could be any one of 1,000 species.
The Master Fish Merchants Association of Australia says that, look, it's going to have very high compliance costs. What do you say about that, having worked in the industry, preparing menus?
Yeah, I mean, and this is the crazy thing when, if they say it's too hard, well, it can't be too hard if some restaurants are already saying it's pole and line caught or it's this species and it comes from here. It can't be too hard if some places already do it.
It's not complex. Let me put it to you real simple. Everyone listening out there, if politicians have got the guts to do it, anything can be done. They're quick at whacking taxes on. So let's not fall for that crap. Mr. Evans, thank you very much. Now, I'm going to get moving along so we can keep to it.
The senators are really optimistic that we are going to see some change, and I am too. The committee's going to hand down their recommendations in about a month's time, which is about the time this show goes to air. It's been a long, sometimes hard journey, but I think it will have been worth it.
Law change or not, there is plenty we can all do right now to make a difference.
We can break our addiction to large carnivorous species like tuna and salmon and shark and go for alternate species like mackerel or sardines. We can embrace the right type of farmed seafood and support more sustainable aquaculture. And we can all demand better labelling on our seafood by asking, what's the catch whenever we buy it? And if we manage all this, we'll surely safeguard our oceans and enjoy seafood for generations to come.
To find out more and have your say, go to sbs.com.au/whatsthecatch.